about, well, I guess for one, you were part of self-destruction and in your production of self-destruction and that project many well, not many decades ago, but several years ago, I guess, if you will,
Right, right.
in the
Mm-hmm.
80s. And self-destruction was relevant then, and it looks as if here we are 2020, it's still, we're still
Yeah,
there.
I think so. Like, you know, it's interesting, right? So I'm a student of many disciplines, right? So one of the things that I remember from my childhood is a quote from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he said, you can't change a people unless you change their way of thinking.
Okay.
And I think the aim, I can only talk for hip hop. I can't really talk for R&B or anything else because I'm a rapper. So I can't, you know what I mean? So I don't want to try to step in for Stevie or Marvin or anybody else. I can just talk for hip hop. I
Okay.
think the aim of hip hop when we began to make records, because hip hop was around before records, but the aim of hip hop when we began to make records was either just that or mostly that, right? Changing people's ways of thinking in different ways. One was musically to allow people to understand that we were a music form
Yes. Yes.
because they didn't think we were a music form. They was like, you guys are fat. What you're doing is, you know, I mean, they had all types of bad words for us. But in the beginning of making records, we wanted to allow people to know we were a music form. Just like you listen to reggae, just like you listen to country, just like you listen to folk. Well, now you have us. So some people call it rap music, some people call it hip hop. It was the same thing. So that was one way of changing the way of thinking, understanding us, graffiti art culture, the way we dance, the way DJs use turntables. Because prior to hip hop, nobody used turntables like that, right? And no disrespect to like our forefathers like Maboya and Pete DJ Jones, but when they was mixing, it was a train wreck. They, you know, it was beats going into each other until the other one came in. You know, when Flash and Theodore
Yes.
started, it was all on time. It was all syncopated. So we had to teach people um, who we were, what this was about. This is a different kind of party. You know, even in the very beginning, before records, this is a different kind of party. It's a party we bring speakers outside and we plug into lamps.
Sure.
But as time went along, brothers like myself, Chuck D, KRS-One, I always mention Speech. We began to start noticing that. Well, maybe we don't notice from the beginning, but artists began to notice that we could say more on a record than it takes two to make a thing go right. Right? So we started saying, you know, we saw Melly Mel and them do the message. The message was very powerful. To me, still the best rap record ever made. Right? And so here we go now, like, oh wow, this guy just talked about the whole ghetto. Like he explained the whole broken glass thing. He just broke down um and you know, once Melly Mel did that, a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. God is shining on, you know, smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you. We like,
So true.
yo, you know what I'm saying? Like this is more than to the beat, y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. Like we could really do this, right? So those of us that had some sort of what we call consciousness started using our music as such. And what
Okay.
we wanted to do for the original mindset going this violence, we may be in the middle of it, but we're not responsible for it. The light says it on self-destruction. He says black on black crime was way before our time. You know, going into we part of it, in,
We're
but we're
losing
not
you
the
just a little
cause of
bit.
it. And then also,
You're bouncing on us a little bit. I don't want to miss your profound statements.
oh, okay. So we're part of it as hip hop. But and then as time went along, when we put together self-destruction, we really wanted to be clear that rappers of the day, of that time, were aware of what's going on. We wanted people to understand not only Daddy O and Chuck D and KRS-One, but Heavy D understands what's going on. Dougie Fresh understands what's going on. MC Light understands what's going on. D Nice, who you only knew from Party Records, understands what's going on. So I still think it's room to change the way our people think, which is why I began an effort to do self-destruction too.
Oh, right. I was going to ask you, are we looking at two?
Yeah, and I just heard the track yesterday. I won't even listen to it again because it made me so dizzy. So I got five. Well, I got more than five, but I started off with 5 producers on this project: DJ Premier, Large Professor, Pete Rock, Easy Mo B, and Marley Marl. That was my original 5. They all said yes. Then I got KG from Naughty by Nature that made Hip Hop Array and OPP. Him and his partner Tramp, who Tramp is incredible. I enlisted them, and then Rottweiler called. I was like, yo, D, you need something from me? I was like, of course I do. So I got some Rottweiler stuff, and I got a few other producers as well that I'm working with. But my main track is being done by DJ Premier, and I heard it yesterday, and
it's fire.
My God, it took them a minute because we basically went over kind of what we wanted to hear and what it needed to be, and it's really, really good. So I'm happy about that. Been on the phone with a few dope MCs, just talking to them about rapping, and now I'm getting into the A&R mode. Now I'm getting into the mode of like who's on, who's off, what people are saying, and that type of stuff.
So did this all come about just recently with the current events that are happening around our globe here, or was this something that was already in the works? Where were you?
Self-Destruction 2 was already in the works. I pushed the fast forward button when Pop Smoke got killed.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I was already working on it, but when Pop Smoke got killed, it just bothered me to such a degree that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ditch some of my traditional ideas in terms of the way I wanted this thing to be done, and I'm gonna just fast forward and start doing it the way I do my own records.
Okay.
And so I started doing that. As far as nowadays, I'm dating myself by using that word, but as far as the present is concerned, there is something that we're doing for this effort. I got a song coming out. I think we're gonna probably drop the video next week called Bullets, with Speech of Arrested Development and Chuck D of Public Enemy. We are now a group. The name of the group is Night Train. So we're doing an album. And our so you know where we come from. If you know anything about Mr. Wendell, Tennessee, you know anything about Bring the Noise, if you know anything about Freedom or Death or anything Africa, so you know what we're coming with.
Yes.
It might be a little more expansive musically than we've ever done, just because those things are available now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of those necessary. Things
yes.
Yeah, some of those things weren't available to us in the past in terms of just expanding the music thing. Like you see things like you see Nas perform with a Philharmonic. Like we can do that now. We couldn't do that before. So definitely with the music, we're gonna take the music a little far. But lyrically, when you hear us spitting, you'll see, because we really, people say, "Oh, you didn't lose a step." No, we really gained a step. I was gonna say,
I'm so amazed.
We gained the step. When you hear Speech, you're gonna lose it. Like this boy, I be talking about me getting nice. Yo, Speech got so nice. I'm like, yo, I gotta rewrite my verse.
That's because it's in you. You were born with it, and it's just the talent that's there. So when you actually are able to act upon it, it may not even be. It's just that you're the vessel in which it's just coming through. So when it's actually,
I believe that too. I believe that too.
Mm-hmm. So with that, that's where you're shining for sure. So is Bullet your only new project?
So no. So well, you know that it's not.
But they don't.
So I have a single out off the album that's coming out called Gun Store Movie with a sister named Indigo Phoenix, who is ridiculously dope. So the Gun Store Movie is kind of sort of the lead single. We almost finished with the video. It's a little different than we ever had to do in the past because it's a little different than we ever had to do in the past because we been doing videos the way we wanted to, and now with COVID-19, we can't be in the same space. So she actually has to shoot in Atlanta, and I
Okay.
have to shoot here in Houston. But we got a dope idea and a dope way of putting the whole thing together. So we're gonna do that. And then the name of the album is Go to Antidote. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a little different than From My Hood to You. I think this album's a little more hip hop than some of the stuff that I've done in the past. If that even makes sense. In my head, it does.
No,
You know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
in mine because I listened to
Yeah.
it since you put me on blast to say I
Right.
already knew.
Yeah.
And some of my favorites, no, they sound
Okay.
very much, I mean, they trend just as well as where you were before. I think that it just feeds or speaks to it now. It's
Right.
interconnecting, and yeah, it's just a journey. It's just still telling a story. Very relevant. Some of
Right.
the music, and I won't really name them, but
No,
some of
you
them,
can. You can. You can.
the
You
grapevine.
can because yeah.
The grapevine is, it seems as if it could have been, well, I guess what we would say timeless. So it could have been then or now. All
Oh,
I
dope.
Need is my favorite.
Wow. You know, so funny. So let me stop you there and then you could continue.
Okay.
Grapevine and All I Need is the same producer. So that's crazy that you hear that.
Ah, told y'all.
You know, yeah. That's my man. That's my man Tramp. That's the brother I was talking about when I was talking about KG from Naughty by Nature's partner. That's
Okay.
Tramp. Tramp is ridiculous. Like Tramp is really, really dope.
I'm gonna play a little
So
bit. You mind?
I do not.
Let's see. This is All I Need, you guys. And I'm not the DJ, but don't shoot me.
I'm gonna mute while you're playing. Oh yeah.
All right. I love it. We would
Yeah, that's
we would get
that's
ready to go
big.
to the
That's Big
club with
Mike.
that one.
Yeah, that's Big Mike. Originally of the Ghetto Boys. Made some of the. You know, one of the things that I do is I make records with my favorite MCs.
Nice.
So Big Mike is one of my
Alignment.
favorite MCs. That Something Serious album is one of my favorite albums of all time. And you know, I moved to Houston. So when I moved to Houston, because it's so funny, even though I'm a New Yorker, I kind of stopped listening to New York hip hop in the 90s
Why?
because I thought everybody was lying. The tough guy stuff came in and it bothered me because we were making these songs and we were doing records to kind of get out of the street. So if you think about all the original guys that created hip hop back in the very beginning, they was gang members first.
Okay.
So they stopped being in gangs to do hip hop. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like and so that's where some of the battle culture comes from, not only lyrically, but also in graffiti, there's battle culture, and in dance, there's battle culture as well. So a lot of that battle culture comes from in the beginning, we were battling with sticks, knives, and guns. And so that turned into something different and it turns into music and it got healthy and all of those particular things. So um now you know 90s come and here they go, like everybody talking tough, everybody talking about you know selling drugs, and I'm like, hold up, like where, first of all, a lot of the guys that was talking about it, I knew they was lying because I knew the hustlers. So I'm like, a lot of them are talking about, stuff that they just talking about it because they putting it on records. So I started listening to guys in the South, and particularly what we call Third Coast, which is Houston. A lot of guys from the Bay. I wasn't really too much into the LA music, but I was definitely, and I wasn't really too at that time too much into Atlanta, but I was into Houston and I was into the Bay, and these
Okay.
guys was really putting it down. UGK, um, Big Mike, who's from Houston but was living in New Orleans at the time, and it was just, man, I just loved it. I thought they were doing, like, it's funny, I mentioned the message. I thought they were doing something very similar to what Melly Mel was doing, which is something I call soundtracking. And I felt
Okay.
like in the 90s, New York stopped soundtracking. Yes, the braggadocio stuff was part of what we were doing, but it was no soundtracking. Now, all of a sudden, you could not tell where we was from, or there was no lyrics that was, there was little lyrics to describe our surroundings and the things that we did, but everything was all about how much dough you getting and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, you can miss me with that. And so when I started hearing some of the other guys, I really, really liked them. So now that I moved to Houston, I've already made a, so I already did a joint on the album that's out right now with Bun B. I got a record with Big Mike. Lil O is my man. I guess Kiki next. I guess Lil Kiki next.
So you basically determined where you wanted to go and you just acted upon it, which is awesome. You created a plan, executed. And I think that that is what hip hop, the culture, the legends, those are the folks that we like to, if in essence, lend to now
Oh
for
yeah.
just a reference. Because when people get confused and lost, and what should I do now?
Right.
You just gave a plan. You have to have a plan. You, whether it's something you desire or otherwise you feel like it's achievable or not, you put the plan in place and you
Oh
move
yeah.
forward. That
Oh
is a
yeah.
big
A
message.
lot of, and that's a lot. That's a lot of us. Meaning, a lot of classic hip hop. That was the way we did things because we didn't have another way. If we would just really wing it, we probably wouldn't have made it anyway. You know what I mean? Because there was so much opposition. Radio didn't want to, Chuck says it on the record. Radio, suckers never want to play me. Like, there was so much going on that
Uh-huh.
we just felt like a lot of opposition. You
Yeah.
know, I understood Tupac's song "Me Against the World" because it felt like us against the world. You know what I'm
But
saying?
now, with that being
So,
said, even if you felt as if it was you against the world, did you allow that to change you, or did that allow you to just fight harder or move faster, or go towards your dreams as opposed to just saying, no, this is too difficult, I can't do it?
no, we didn't allow it to change us. And one of the things interesting about that question is that we had support, and I think sometimes people misconstrue the concept of support. So for us, it was all about keep going because you had support. You had people around you that was doing it. You had people that was around you that was doing it that possibly may have been a little more successful than you. So that was a driver. And then you had people egging you on. And that was
The
the
haters.
KRS. For me, that was the KRS One and the Chuck D's of my life. Like, they was always like, do what you really. I go further back. Really, Scott LaRock, God bless the dead, because Scott LaRock used to tell me, "Daddy, you ain't even got to sign to Tommy Boy. You could sign to me." No, most people don't know
So
when Scott LaRock
encouragement.
passed. Yeah,
Yes.
most people don't know when Scott LaRock passed. He had 3 labels, independent labels. That's right along the Tommy Boys and the Sleeping Bags and the Profiles and the Def Jams. He had his own joints. So he was just like, yo, you don't you can do your thing, D. Like, just keep on going, just keep on going. So a lot of that was really about I say teamwork. Of course, I had a
Yes.
big old team with Stetson Sonic, me
Yes.
and a bunch of people. But it was also the other rappers that was around me and the other rap groups that was around me. They were very encouraging. Very, very encouraging.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I said that on another conversation that we were on. And with that being said, I guess in today's time, as we look at what beef would have been back in the day, you guys handle it different. And as you just spoke of it, even if there was a platform where everyone was trying to get to, they still lended a hand, a level of encouragement, so it wasn't considered so much of the hating, or it didn't create so much of the beef. It added to cultivating the energy necessary for everyone to come up and succeed. And I think that that is what we're trying to share with today and our young people, and even everyone at this point, that as much as we come together, it's, you know, we can get to prosperity in numbers, in groups, as opposed to everyone tearing each other down. So I think that that's a great message that you just put out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that that's awesome that you all use that encouragement. And I mean, and if there was a beef, how did you all handle that?
Well, always in different ways. Always in different ways. We tried to keep it peaceful. Everything didn't end up peaceful. But let me say this about us and my generation, and even us now. So we built a certain kind of way that there are leaders, and there's almost a hierarchy. There's almost a hierarchy to the leadership in which we obtained and live.
I'm losing you a little bit.
To go to somebody, there was always a way to go to somebody that was more powerful than both of us.
Okay.
That would actually stop beef. You understand what I mean? Like because there's always an OG.
Yeah.
In our lives, there was always an OG. So if it got so crazy, more, the OG would step in and be like, yo, both of y'all bugging right now.
Yeah.
So, and if one guy was wrong and one guy was right, then he would definitely do the same thing would happen. The right guy would the OG would say, look, he's right, and you got to step back. So, it was always dealt with very differently, but most of it, we tried to deal with that on a level of peace. We tried to keep
respect.
Peace and where nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Where nobody got hurt. Because, one of the things about my generation of hip hop and my generation of rappers, we were coming out of the street. We wasn't trying to go back.
Sure.
Once we start making this music, we was like, oh, we got something we could do now. So we, we wanted to stay touring. We wanted to stay making records. So we didn't want to go back into the street. And that's one of the things that is between, if you say then and now, is a lot of the rappers
we lost you. A lot of the rappers. Any questions? We lost you for a moment. Hopefully you're coming back. Yep, you're
the street.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
yeah. Stretching on the street. Yeah, I lost all my bars.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yes, I lost you when you said a lot of the rappers, but I don't know where your thought was, unfortunately, to bring you back.
I said a lot of the rappers nowadays, they come from the street, but they don't want to leave the street. You know what I'm saying? And so that's different. You know what I mean? That's different than us, because we came from the street, but we wanted to leave the street. Not so much the people. We still the voice of the people, but in terms of just staying there right there in the street and being involved in all that stuff that we was involved in prior to rap, nah, you can miss us with that. Because listen, I don't know, there's not many people in the world that are really career criminals. You know what I mean? There's criminals, but there's a lot of people that are not wanting to be criminals for the rest of their life. A lot of people are like, look, I want to sell this dope for a little while, then I need to get out. Or I want to be doing these robberies for a little while, I want to get out. Or I want to do this check scam with these credit cards for a little while, and I want to get out.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying? No, seriously, I'm just telling you, right? But they don't want to stay there. Mm-hmm. And so to perpetuate that life, to me, is destructive. You know?
And so in today's time, you see the exact opposite. It seems as if you're only socially accepted if you express that, or you seem as if that's where you are relevant if you have come from the street or if you are in the street. I mean, do you see that as
I totally see it. It makes me laugh because I'm from East New York. And I'm from East New York. I go back, anybody that's from the street, I go back before Tut. So I'm from East New York, where Big Stacy and them used to knock people out and throw quarters on them when they was on the street.
Oh, wow.
Flip a quarter on them. Like I'm from that East New York, right? So I know what the street really is, a culture that where, you know, living around people that never went to Manhattan, right? We used to call it the city. You know, living around people that never went to the city, that just stayed in their neighborhood. And I'm talking about every supermarket, every piece of clothes they bought from Pickens Avenue or Belmont Avenue. And so I know what it is to be engulfed in the street. I guess some people down here might say somebody that never left Third Ward, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody in New Orleans might say somebody that never lost that ward, or somebody in California might say somebody that never left Watts, or somebody that never left the jungle. But I don't think life was made to be that way anyway. I mean, we're in a country where there are so many possibilities, you know, it's endless. When I talk to my friends, you know, and some of them are younger than me. When I talk to my friends that come from other countries, they come here, they get their master's degrees, they get their PhDs, and they look at me and they say, D, why young black people don't go to college?
Say that.
Yeah. They be like, yo, D, I don't even get what's going on. Like, yo, and then they show me pictures of where they come from, like, cause they go home. And they, you know, you see their parents, and look where my mother lived. Like, she walk around every day with no shoes on and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. I'm sending money back to her. Like, why are they not taking advantage of these particular things? This is one of the things to move in the current event. One of the things that really bothers me about the anti-American rhetoric, right? And this is why. I have family members, they didn't like it and they left. They are now dual citizens, but they stay mostly in Africa. Mm-hmm. I respect that. But I don't respect you staying. They in Ghana. Both of them went to Ghana. My uncle went and built a whole village in Ghana, because he's Muslim and polygamous and all that. So he built the whole village. You know what I'm saying? And my homegirl Shannon went out there, and she's on her second school now. She built 2 schools, right?
Dude, Kenya.
Yeah, her son, his name is Money Making Neek. He's one of the best rappers in the world to me. He in Atlanta. That's my little man. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that there are advantages that we have from day to day, and to not make those advantages knowledgeable, to look at those advantages like they're disadvantages, it's just a smack in all of our face. It's a smack in Dr. King's face. It's a slap in Malcolm's face. It's a smack in Noble Drew Ali's face. It's a smack in Elijah Muhammad's face. I could keep going. But I'm saying that there were people that grew up in situations where it was tough for them.
Yes.
Right? My little daughter was reading me the Rosa Parks joint the other day. And, you know, she was reading me the whole book, you know, and so it wasn't just about that one bus ride. Right? And so what happens is I'm listening to the story and I'm like, man, this lady went through a whole lot. Yeah. You know, she went through a whole lot, but she was just like, yo, I'm not giving up. Right. And so some of it was personal. Some of it was just a personal situation. I don't feel like moving. Like one of the times that she sat in front of the bus, it wasn't no room in the back. right? It wasn't even no black power thing or nothing. There was no room in the back. I can't get to the back of the bus, so I'm sitting in the front of the bus. Then the other times, you know, but you think about Rosa Parks. I was talking to somebody about Rosa Parks the other day, and they said, D, look at what that did. One city almost crippled a whole state just by shutting down a bus line. Right? It's almost all of the whole state was making noise just because black people said, I'm not riding the bus. So it happened in different ways. One way that it happened was it was Black Dollar. The other way was it was a bunch of people that just didn't want to ride the bus because there was so much drama around riding the bus. But either way, it crippled them.
The message was in the power of that.
Exactly.
Yes.
The dollar. And that is the only conversation I want to entertain. I don't want to entertain picket signs. I don't want to entertain none of that. Writing on the streets in DC, big Black lives. I don't want to hear none of that.
I have someone for you to talk to, for sure.
Yeah, show me the money. Because it's my man Mark told me at this point it's $1.1 trillion, the black dollar. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And so you pull $1.1 trillion, especially in the economic, this is the best time after COVID-19. It's the best time. You pull the black dollar right now, America would say, oh, we got to come to the table. We got to figure this out.
Got to figure this out. That's
exactly.
It. That's
exactly.
it.
But is it going to be figured out by the means in which people are manifesting right now? My humble opinion, which I'm really not that humble most of the time, but I'm humble about other things. But with this kind of stuff, I'm not. My humble opinion, no, ain't nothing gonna change. Not the way, not in that way. Because listen, and not to get off on the tangent, but let me say this: racism is theological. Most people don't know that. It's based on a verse in the Bible about the Book of Ham. Okay, this is why people, so-called Christian, and I'm calling them so-called Christians, could enslave black people. Even black Arabs that enslaved black people, it was theological. They thought that their book said that they were superior. Most of the time when people think they're superior, it's always based on our books. It's not other stuff.
And yes, really and a teaching of some sort, which
exactly. Yes. But it's easier to rely on the books because the books, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's the Holy Quran, whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Bible, are in the societies longer than the other stuff. They're just there, right? For whatever reason, I'm not going to get into a theological argument, but the concept is, if you understand that, you almost could do away with it by getting white preachers to admit it, and it's done.
Should I charge you with that? Should I check back with you?
Yes, exactly. You get white preachers. Yeah, you get white preachers because then now we gotta talk, and now I understand. I didn't in the beginning. I really until the last 2 weeks, I didn't understand why all our civil rights movements came out of churches. I couldn't get it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe everybody else understood it and I didn't. Maybe I'm late to the party, but I couldn't understand this. I'm like, okay, I hear you, but now I understand why. Because if we can affect that base, we can make moves. Because most of the country, most countries, period, abide by one religion, right? When you go to Dubai, they tell you to wrap your hair. I don't care what you believe. They tell you to wrap your hair. You got women that believe in Christ to their toes, and they going over in Dubai looking like a Muslim because they want to stay in Dubai, because they want to party in Dubai, whatever they want to do.
Party in Dubai.
They come over here and take their clothes off. That's crazy, right?
That's crazy.
That means that they're disrespecting the religion of the country.
Or stand for nothing, fall for anything.
Exactly. So we need to affect that base. The other side of it that bothers me is that, and I explained that to my son this morning. I said, listen, bro, let me explain something to you. I'm from East New York. If the police had put their knee on one of our necks, that precinct would have caught hell. Not from the block away. Not from Brownsville, not from Bed-Stuy, not from Red Hook, not from any place but East New York. If it was the 77th precinct, we were making the 77. And when I say we, I mean us street dudes. We're making the 77 precinct suffer. You gotta come to work every day. You can't do that to the people that live here.
Now, would you have burned it, or would you just have applied pressure in other ways?
we were. I can't say we were gangsters because gangsters got a lot of money. So, but I guess in our own little mind, we were gangsters. We were hitting police cars from the roof with cinder blocks. Okay, don't come in here with that, because this is where we live, and you got to go to work every day. You know what ends up happening? They reassign that officer or something, because we're not gonna take the pressure off. And to me, I use this last move that Keisha Lance Bottoms did in Atlanta as an example about the power of local politics. She got cops fired in one day. She ain't wait. She ain't do nothing. She didn't wait. She didn't wait. She watched the films. She got them to bring her more stuff. She did it. Yo, get me their names. She got their names. The next day, they were fired.
Yes, and you see Mary Bowser, she actually just had Black Lives Matter painted on 16th Street.
Right. DC. What I'm saying is local politics can make a difference. Absolutely. But when you I want to be fair here, because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. Let me go back a little bit. Our struggle has been co-opted for the longest time. All right. That started, do research about the great, even if you go now, you could Google it, but it's hopefully the library is open soon. Do research on the Great Society and what Johnson, the most racist president to ever live, who said, I'll have them niggas voting Democrat for 80 years. Johnson, who was a Republican that turned to Democrat just to flip the black thing. Johnson, who Dr. King had to argue with and still only gave us a little piece of a civil rights bill. Sure. They did some real crazy stuff. And what happens is who we are ends up getting co-opted. And so in the beginning, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to no other people, but I'm Black and American, so I gotta say this. And let me be clear on who I am. My great-grandparents were slaves here. My grandmother and grandfather were freed slaves here. And my mother grew up under segregation. I was born in 61. My mother had me at 44. So,
and I think we all share a lot of that.
Yeah. So I'm 3 generations removed. So yes, when I see that struggle get co-opted and other people jump in and say, oh, it's civil rights for me too, I be like, no, it ain't. I'm the same dude who I tell these little rappers all the time. I say, yo, Usher and Chris Brown and them couldn't have hung around us. Because we would have said, yo, go sing that shit over there, bro. We rappers over here. No disrespect to you, but you don't share this table with us. You if you had a struggle, that struggle has been overcome. Now you have had the Jackson 5. Now you've had Stevie. Now you've had Marvin. So maybe you did have a struggle, for Black R&B, but the struggle is overcome. We in the middle of people saying that we're not music. We in the middle of trying to get booked in clubs. And like I said, Chuck D saying radio suckers never play me. We're in the middle of Black radio programmers like Frankie Crocker trying to make us disappear. That story, there's a story, and Paradise knows the story better than me, where they talked to Fred Mayo and all of these guys because they wanted Mr. Magic. They told Mr. Magic, we'll give you double the money if you stop playing rap.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they really, but God bless Mr. Magic. God bless Lady B. God bless Pink House in Chicago. God bless Greg Mack in LA. They was like, I don't care what y'all say, I'm playing rap. I don't care what y'all say, I'm playing it. You know what I'm saying? And it worked. And all I'm saying is that it's the same concept I'm talking about. You do small local things to make a difference. When you got a bunch of white people in Paris screaming about you, you should be very afraid because it ain't they struggle. And you could say they sympathizing with you. I didn't grow up like that. The way I grew up is like, yo, I hear you. You know what I'm saying? My white friend, I don't care what his name is, Johnny. Let's call him Johnny. I hear you, Johnny. Go home, man. Go home, man. You know, good. You want to do something? Miss Mamie over there need her rent paid. Go pay her rent. You know what I'm saying? You and your parents got money. Go pay Miss Mamie rent. But don't stand over here. We don't stand with us. We don't need you to stand with us. It's gonna dilute what we are. You know what I'm saying?
I think just going back to the original, when we were having the beginning conversation, when you stated that, you know, the haters were minimal, the beef was limited because there was a layer of respect, but you did have, you know, a conglomerate of folks that uplifted, motivated, you know, added a layer of strength. So I think that, you know, where we are today, I guess it's just another reference in that regard. And it's just taking so much more to add that layer of strength. Before it was just, you know, the block, the hood, whomever. But now it's taking that much more to be able to give us the confidence or give us the strength, if you will, separate and apart from those that we understand the higher power that we serve can give us that same. With that, you know, looking at the globe, those folks that are having to stretch their hand to say we support you, it just becomes so much more relevant. But same ideologies, of course.
Well, I think for the Black community, I've been doing a little bit of research on my own. One of the things that I noticed blatantly is that the television has replaced the record player in the Black home. So in the 60s and the 70s, we went through stuff. The dope needle was real there. Vietnam, which was probably the stupidest war ever, possibly. You know, people, there's some people argue, but that it was a dumb war. You know, just struggle, right? And we still was going through a huge civil rights kind of thing of being free, but not free, right? So we fighting and singing about it and all of that. But when we went home, we had Marvin, we had Stevie. A lot of people don't like to give the Jackson 5 credit, but they were freedom fighters too. We had the Jackson 5. We had all those things that strengthen us. So funny, I was talking to Hasib the other day about this Billy Ocean record. That they're not the one everybody know, the Caribbean Queen. That damn One of Them Nights, that record is so mean, yo. One of Them Nights, that joint is crazy. It's crazy, like it's so crazy.
You're gonna put it on when we finish.
Yeah, and it's not even about, you know, nothing political, but we had those kind of releases. When you replace Stevie Wonder with Dom Lemon or Sean King or one of them, Bill Maher, all these dummies they listening to, it's not good. A 24-hour news cycle is not good for any human being.
Absolutely.
But for melanated human beings, it's even worse.
Absolutely.
Creativity is missing in this struggle. And we've always had musicians to lead the way, because that's where we got our chants from. That's where we got it all from. No disrespect to Sharpton and them, but it wasn't y'all, man. It wasn't. Y'all was following us. We wasn't following y'all.
I love it.
That's the biggest difference. Like now, all of a sudden, these guys become, I don't know. I just feel like they have too much power, and I don't feel like there's enough music in our movement.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Because if we don't have music in our movement, then what is it then? You know what I'm saying? What is it? Because even if it is, which I don't believe that peace comes out of justice. I believe it's the other way around, universally, scientifically. But either way, even if it is no justice, no peace, where's the song? I mean, now I'm seeing guys do things that are dope. I seen Kwame do something real dope. He took that rhyme that LL Cool J said, a cappella, and he put it to music.
Freestyle, yeah.
But why does Kwame have to take a LL Cool J IG freestyle and make music to it? That's backwards to me. Even though I appreciate it's dope, but that's backwards to me. Like where that's the voices it's blatant that the voice of the musician is missing. It's so obvious to me just because of where I come from that we are just missing, which is why me, Chuck, and Speech are forming this group. Because
you have to definitely, you have to still have a strength. You have to have, so not to be worried about, is it my time, like playing double dutch? Should I say something now? Should I do I go now? You know, what do I need to do? You have to just be able to, you know, stand on it. And if that's what's in your soul, that's what's in your heart, you let that, you know, that's the expression. That was what you all were in the position to do, was to express yourselves. And through music, that is where you all became who you are. And the reason why Champagne and Conversations now likes to come back and talk to you all, because we find it comforting and a level of consciousness to be able to say, talk to us about this. And everything that you've said is relative to today. And if we respected the OGs, and if we listened to it, and if we lend it to a higher power at some point and use music, and you know, we expanded on some sort of idea that we might have, we may very well have been in a different position to be able to say, we got this. We got
absolutely. I just know that that's true because I've just seen it in so many parts of my life where, you know, at a funeral, at a wedding, at another place where music just does something, and now the mood is set.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Now the mood is set. Now people are thinking, you know, whether it's shifting energy in the atmosphere, all of those particular things. And I just feel like it's so music-less. I mean, I guess, not that I'm in agreement with everything. I guess one of the most powerful things I saw, with Stetsasonic, came from Amsterdam not too long ago. That was the last dates we did. And we actually had a whole bunch set up, but then COVID hit. But we're gonna come back. And the same square that I was in Amsterdam, I saw like 2 days ago, a bunch of people fill that square, and they was all singing Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Something? And I understood it because when I go to Amsterdam, Chuck D will say this, and he said it in one of his books. The best show that he ever saw in his life was Stetsasonic in Amsterdam at the Paradiso in 1988, because we played for 2.5 hours straight, nonstop. And I always remember European performances up until the last one we did, which was about 9 months ago. And they really embrace us in a different kind of way. It's almost like the music is in them.
Yes.
And this last concert we did was dope because it was a lot of our old fans that was there. So even though the concert was in the Netherlands, we might have had 15 countries get on boats, trains, and planes to come see us, because they hadn't seen Stetsasonic in 15 years, 20 years. So it was just like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. People coming in from Ireland, people coming in from England, you know, some people coming in from Asia. And I see what it means to them. When they in it, they're in it. And when they listening to it, they listening to it. And we need to, some kind of way, we just need to embrace that. I don't know what the total answer is. I'm still rapping, so I'm kind of good with it. But so I don't know if the total answer, you know, people say, oh, you need to talk to some of these young cats. I'm not sure if that's the real answer, but it could be. You know what I'm saying? It could be.
I mean, what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
And obviously exposing that part. I think that at some point people will kind of conform to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, so one of my ideas is this. So with Self-Destruction 2, the way I'm putting Self-Destruction 2 together is I got young people on the record, right? And I'm telling the young people, so I'm the professor, I'm doing it in assignments. So I'm telling everybody what I want them to rap about. So for instance, I told Indigo Phoenix, I need you to write me a story that says your mother was in a car crash She had to get opioids because she was in a car crash. She your mama, so you didn't think she would get addicted. Y'all still cool. You don't live too far. You got keys to her house. You come home on a Friday. You come to a Friday night. You go straight to her crib. You go to her favorite restaurant. Get her some food. You go to her crib. You know, you open the door. Your mother dead on the floor. What does that sound like in 8 lines?
Wow, that's heavy. We lost you.
Yeah, are you back?
Okay. Yep, you're back.
Yeah. I don't know where I stopped.
You said, and the mom is passed away on the floor.
Yeah. What does that sound like in 8 lines?
Yeah.
Right. I told Lena Jackson, write me a song about being in an abortion clinic and pacing back and forth as to whether or not you should do it or not. What does that sound like in 8 lines? I told Rusty Jukes to write me a rhyme about carrying a gun, but not really wanting to carry a gun, but I really gotta carry a gun because of where I live. What does that sound like in 8 lines? I told my son, you killed him, but now you're recognizing that you killed your brother. What does that sound like in 8 lines? Because that's self-destruct. Nowadays, see, back in the day when we did self-destruction 1, we were only really attacking violence. That's why it was done under the banner of KRS's Stop the Violence movement.
Okay.
Today, we got a higher rate of suicide in hip hop than we ever had. I'll be brutally honest. When we was rapping, we never looked at any of our peers like they would ever commit suicide.
Right.
Imagine Rakim committing suicide. Imagine Rob Bass committing suicide. Father MC committing suicide. We didn't even think about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where now you got Mac Miller, you got this one, you got that one, you got an opioid crisis, which Juice WRLD's thing falls in between suicide and opioids.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's taking pills, but he didn't take them pills to die, but those were pills he keeps taking. You know what I'm saying?
It may lead to that. Yes.
Yeah, look at what Trippie Redd goes through. Trippie Redd, I love him because I like his music, but I love him because he publicly talks about his battle with opioids.
Yes.
Like, I quit, but now I'm back. And you know what I'm saying? So it's so much going on. You know, Extension getting killed on that corner. You know, that's different than just violence. And so I want to tap into that. So one of the ways I want to bring the young people into this is I just want your stories. That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to be the Talib Kweli conscious rapper. I don't need none of that from you.
We need that. We need more of that. We need that music to go back to that.
they may and they may not. But I think that if we're truthful about what we are, we can get through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What happens is that the music has become untrue. So regardless to what it was, you know, something I found out about. So me and Hasib is doing this radio show called Back to the Future. Love it. We're doing it episodical, so we're working on the first season now. And you know, it's a classic hip hop show, but it's very different because we got some really interesting sections in it and stuff. And one of the things I know, because I research as I do things, one of the things that I notice as I'm doing it is I'm like, you know what? Something that's very unique about classic hip hop fans, they're all thinkers. And it's not just they thinking about Public Enemy. They thinkers, even if they like NWA. Even if they like what we might call the raunchy stuff, they still thinkers. And so I think that like I started off the conversation about changing the way of thinking amongst a people. I think that is the key, right? Is that if we do things that are thought-provoking, you know, we can have, it's never going to go back. Nothing's going to go back. So we're not going to have 8 tracks in our house anymore. Cassettes are not coming back. Vinyl is only making a monumental, little nominal movement amongst, you know, and I know because I put out 45s to this day, Bobito, DJ Coco in Japan.
Do they still have the little plastic piece that goes in the middle?
Yeah. That helps. That for DJs, that helps us scratch it. It's better than a disc because then it moves as one piece.
When I was little, I thought I could do that. I was gonna be a DJ.
That's funny. But so vinyl's got its place, but it's never gonna come back to that, right? We're gonna be listening to MP3s for the rest of our lives. So and who knows, it might become some laser type of thing. I mean, in most cases, it's not even MP3s because we listen in the Spotify, right? So we're streaming stuff. So that's not coming back, but there could be a new something if we are just thought-provoking enough. That's what I think. And I don't think it all comes from one place. I've always been a person, in my love for hip hop, I've always loved every kind of hip hop. Because I tell people all the time, when people say, oh, hip hop was always positive, I say, hold. Before records, I got tapes, Busy Bee 1982 at the T Connection saying, all the cocaine lovers in the house, let me hear you say blow. You understand what I'm trying to say? So like, we ain't never always been positive, ever. Like, it's just never been that. But what we were was thought-provoking and truthful. And those were the things that made it work. So thought-provoking and truthful made a way for Public Enemy. It made a way for Stetsasonic.
Yes.
That if we didn't want to just do party music, it was okay because people were doing things to provoke thought anyway.
Yes.
So all they cared about was, wow, they really saying some cool stuff. You know, I never thought, when I wrote Talking All That Jazz, which is the only Stetsasonic record that I wrote the whole thing, I never thought I would get the response that I got from Talking All That Jazz, ever. I wrote it as a letter to M2May, who's a great friend of mine now, but M2May and them was on Bob Slade's show, God Bless the Dead, and they were talking about sampling, and they were talking bad about sampling. And I was just like, this is not right, because they're not seeing where we're coming from. So I sat there and wrote the whole song, told the group how to break it up. Basically, I copied EPMD. That's what I did. I seen the way Eric and Parrish used to do things where they didn't do just two lines. They would answer, you know, Parrish would say 6 lines and then each sermon might have 2. And I said, oh, I'm gonna do that, but it's 3 of us. So I'm gonna make that sound even crazier. Plus I got them voices, right? I know I'm kind of stern. Fuquan is a little whiny. Delight got a big bass voice. So I put it all in place. But I never thought that I would get the response from Talking All That Jazz that I did. But I got
you spoke of politicians response. Then. I clipped it last night.
Yeah, but I got a great response and I was surprised. But I have to give that to my predecessors, Grandmaster Caz, Melly Mel, Mo D, because a lot of people only know the second wave of Mo D, which is Go See the Doctor. But Mo D was, you know, there's literally a Mount Rushmore hip hop, and it's only 3 people. It's Mel, Caz, and Mo. Some people say put Curtis there. I say I won't. You know what I'm saying? But Curtis is more, he's more James Brownie Godfather-ish because he always was the quintessential businessman. You know what I mean? So he was one of the, he helped us bring this in. We would never have the Fat Boys if it wasn't for Curtis. We would never have Run DMC if it wasn't for Curtis. We would have never had Houdini if it wasn't for Curtis. Because Curtis was the one that saw that. Think of what I'm telling you. I just mentioned 3 groups that made original music back then.
Yeah.
All of us was interpolating stuff. Talking All That Jazz is an interpolation of Lonnie Liston Smith's expansions. Sally is Dyke and the Blazers from Gotta Let a Woman Be a Woman, a Man Be a Man. That some people don't like. That's a record. You know what I'm saying? All of us was interpolating stuff. These guys made original songs. And that was all Curtis. Larry Smith produced it, God bless the dead, but that was all Curtis's view of, yo, we could really do this. You know what I mean? But thought-provoking is what it was, you know?
Once again, and a plan. And you had
Christmas rapping was thought-provoking. Don't you give me all that. You know, this dude is rapping about Santa Claus, but in a different kind of way. You're like your whole love.
But we had nothing to conflict to even know that it was good, bad, or indifferent. We just embraced what we had, and we were celebrating and enjoying it.
Yeah, but we were curating it for you. Trust me, the bad stuff didn't make it past us. There was a lot of bad stuff, but we just wouldn't let them in. You know what I'm saying?
I think Angel is anxious to ask you a question. She stepped in. She said she had a few that she wanted. And of course, Angel was who did your flyer that we posted for you. So she
cool. Thank you for the flyer.
Yeah, so the flyer that I actually did, I listened to the interview, that you had. You were talking about Rakim.
Right.
And so how you basically had said that, it is where you're from and not where you're at. So the whole purpose of me putting that little clip in there is because I looked at, you're very voiceful, and you are, and that's good, because sometimes we need that, because people kind of, they try to go, just skip things and don't want to talk about it.
Right.
So basically, I looked at it as that particular part that you were saying, that I'm still doing records. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still doing records today. So one of the questions that I that was asked that I have is just talking about the music industry. We're talking about, like you said, freedom fighters and the message that you have. So within, when you're talking about freedom fighters message, how do you, in this day and time and what's going on now, when hip hop and at a time was able to deliver a message, how do you deliver it now? What do you do now to make a difference?
I think it's a lot simpler than most people think, right? And that is, I always tell people, I talk to my kids about winning, right? And the person I use all the time is Allen Iverson. And here's the question. Do you think Allen ever started a game and said, I might lose today?
No one does.
Every game this little boy went in, he lost 4 straight to the Lakers, to Shaq and Kobe, and still ended up like breaking records. You know what I'm saying? And everybody says, man, they might have won because all he had was Eric Snow, and Eric Snow was not even support. Like they were saying Iverson just ain't had no support. Like he just didn't have no team around him. So, but the point of the matter is the way you think about winning, right? Which bothers me sometimes about even what people say. I was trying to explain to somebody last night. I said, I will never tell my son that he's a victim of anything. Right. Like you the G, like you done came up around us. You see my friends? Like, do you really worry about where you go when you go out? I know you don't, because I'll make a phone call anywhere you are on the planet and make sure that's handled. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot go into a situation thinking that you might lose. And I think that is the difference, right? Is that, again, because of Melly Mel, because of Kumo D, because of Grandmaster Caz, because of the Funky 4+1 More, because of the Force MCs at that time, before they was the Force MDs, when they were still rapping, they were so thought-provoking and so about it, like so adamant about getting their point across. Of course, me being their son was gonna be that way too, right? And so I think that you gotta wanna do it first. So if people are not making that kind of music, they don't want to do it. If people are not making music, they just don't want to do it. There's no excuses to be made in 2020.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said it in my in the takeaway. I said no studio in the crib. I still record what? Like I made a crazy record yesterday called Intangibles, because I've been wanting to lay it down, and finally yesterday I had to do some vocals for Bullets. And I was like, oh, let me just lay Intangibles real quick at my kitchen table. Like, come on, knock it off, man. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to do it, you just don't want to do it, because the God has provided ways for people to do things nowadays that I don't know why before. I think it's, the intelligence of man, and a lot of it has to do with development of men and technology and all those things. So I give that. I believe in the Most High. So regardless of if you did it, he gave you the power to do it. But we have so much ability right in our hands. Like, who in the world? You know what bugs me out? What bugs me out? Every time I take a picture on my phone, I lose my mind. Every time.
Why? Because you don't have to put it in the film shop and wait for it to come back in 7 days.
I'm like, no, not only that, the clarity and all that. I'm like, yo, what is this? Like, am I really taking these dope pictures with something that I'm putting in my pocket and charging every night?
Yep.
Do you know the concept of anything rechargeable when I grew up was like real high, way up on the list? That something was that you had something that was rechargeable. That thing was expensive and all of that. Exactly. So I'm saying that we got all of this power in our hands. And so if they don't want to do it, if somebody don't want to be a freedom fighter right now, they just don't want to do it.
They just don't want to do it.
Because
and I think,
yeah.
Angel asked 2 questions in one, and I was trying to get her to let you have that moment when you spoke of it's not where you from, it's where you at. Do you feel as if it's where you from, or do you feel like it's where you are?
When I made that statement, I meant hip hop.
Yes.
Because in hip hop, we always represent. Like I got a master in engineer, right? It's white boy Sean Franklin. Hey, he's dope. Like he's dope. He make all my records sound great. And Sean says, man, every time you say East New York, it just does something, man. It just does something. He's from the Midwest. He's not from anywhere near New York. But he's just, man, I just love it, Daddy. Every time I hear you say East New York, and I know what he's saying. And the reason I know what he's saying, because every time I say East New York in one of my records, I know what I'm saying. I'm not saying Brooklyn. I'm not saying New York. I'm not saying USA. I'm saying East New York. And I'm really talking about my block. You know what I'm saying? And I've always, I learned this a long time ago. All great music is made for 5 blocks. All great music made for 5 blocks. You want to know what made Motown dope? 5 blocks. They was making music for Detroit and Detroit only. Chicago picked it up. So did Milwaukee. So did New York. So did California. They wasn't making it for y'all. They was making it for their homies. They was making it for their hood. And everything in hip hop has always been that. That's why we like UGK and Scarface, because they represent Houston. That's why, if we do, like Luke, we like him because he represents that Miami lifestyle. That's why we like Snoop, because it was always about blue rags. Snoop ain't never changed that. He even made a video about New York where he's stepping on buildings. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I meant when I said that. It's about rep. When most hip hop that reps they hood goes very, very far. Look at our billionaires. The billionaires in hip hop represented their hood. That's enough said. You ever seen Dre not say Compton? Knock it off. You ever hear Jay not say Marcy?
Right.
That's what it is.
That's a great.
You know what I'm saying? And you always understood that Ye was from Chicago.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All hip hop billionaires rep their hood, because no music is universal. No music on planet Earth is universal. I always tell young people, I have an artist development clinic, and I always tell young people, you know what I train young rappers with? Country Western. I don't even play rap for them. I play country Western songs that have beginning, middles, and end, and that's all about Nashville and Amarillo and all of that. Look how they do this. Because that is what makes your music powerful, is when you represent that kind of situation. When some people, a few people, it's not a lot, but a few people have been successful with something that was kind of overall universal. Those are the far and few betweens. The most of us are gonna sit around and rep our hoods, rep where we from, rep all of those particular things, and we're the ones that's gonna benefit from it. Because what ends up happening is, remember when Chuck D said that rap music was the black CNN? What he meant by that, it was very clear. He meant
where
that
the education was coming from.
Exactly. You got to know Houston through the Ghetto Boys. You got to know Brooklyn through Stetsasonic and Big Daddy Kane. You got to know New Jersey from Latifah and the Flavor Unit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was all about. That's what it's always been about. So that's what I meant. I'm working with Rakim right now. So one of the things I want to do with Ra is I want Ra to kind of come out with me live and just either check me, which I'm open to. If I was wrong, I'm ready to hear Rakim check me, because that'll be the dopest thing in the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Or say, Daddy, or I understood you, or whatever, because I might have misunderstood Ra. I can't take a line like it ain't where you from, it's where you at. I can't take that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in Houston and they all understand my Brooklyn.
And it was a huge line. It was a huge song.
Exactly.
Forever.
So yeah. So but I'm ready to be corrected. Like, you know, I did some studying about Rakim and I figured out why Rakim is so dope. And I have to say, he might be the only one of us to ever do this. He never changed. Never. And honestly, even some of your dopest MCs, I could show you how they changed. You can't show me where Rakim changed. Ever. Jay did a record with Babyface trying to make it work. I mean, I could keep going, man. Everybody did something that was like, why did I do that?
Well, hilarious.
Never changed, yo. He never changed. Like, to this day, like, I don't know if everybody's hip to it, but if you're not, I think I got it posted even on my page somewhere. The last thing Rakim did was for the Luke Cage movie. The second, I think it's right. Luke Cage had 2 seasons, right?
Okay.
Yeah, second season of Luke Cage, they did that club, whatever that club was, and Rakim did a song.
Okay.
Right, and I was mad because they didn't promote it. I was so mad because no label picked it up. I was hot. but
should have been the promoter for it.
Yo, but it's dope, yo. You know what I'm saying? And it's Rakim. Like, you can't, like, I lost friends over the 7th Seal album.
Really?
Because I have friends that was like, oh, this is corny. And I was like, okay, so we not friends no more. Because Rakim's not corny.
An opinion.
Yeah. No, Rakim's not corny. So if you want to tell me Ra is corny, first of all, the 7th Seal got some of the best rhymes that you ever heard in your life. If you want to say you don't like the tracks, the beats, that's on you. You understand what I'm trying to say? But don't start saying he's corny. Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? That you can't do. That's like saying Stevie Wonder is corny.
Oh no.
Like,
no.
What? Like, bye. You know what I'm saying? See you. You know what I'm saying? I remember one guy, I was on a road with a rap group in Seattle one time, and my man Otis said something about Aretha Franklin wasn't that dope. The bus driver stopped the bus. Stopped the bus and told him, yo, you can get off, man.
And it was a storm.
Dead serious. Like, you literally can get out of my bus now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some certain people, you don't touch that. And so yeah, I mean, you know, Rakim never changed. So I love that. And I would love to have some dialogue with him, you know, around that. I think one of the things I want to do in the future is just have those kind of conversations, like some hip hop dialogue, hip hop with hip hop. Like, I like what Talib is doing, but Talib ain't as old as us. So he'll ask questions, but a lot of what he's asking might even be from a fan perspective. Because he can't help himself on that level. I know Talib because he used to come to my house when he was a little boy. So did Tretch. But to see, say, Chuck, like, what would it be like to see Chuck and Ren? I'm not even gonna say Dr. Dre. Chuck D and Ren sitting in a room and having a conversation.
Or sitting on the Zoom now.
Or sitting on the Zoom, yeah. And it could be dope. You know what I'm saying?
It could be dope. Absolutely.
I would just love to see those kind of conversations, because we've had some dope conversations in the past when we've been with brothers on tour and everything. But, you know, 30 years later, I love, like, every time so me and Chuck still connected at the hip. Like I said, we got a group together called Night Train with Speech. The new records that I'm doing, I've been signed to Chuck since, and it's not really signed to him, but kind of signed to Chuck since 2016. I've been putting out these records. This will be my 6th album with him. Nice. So me and Chuck talk all the time, and every time we get on the phone, I'm guaranteeing you this, it's a 3-hour conversation. Like he don't even call me back, or he won't even say D call me unless he know he got the time, because it's not gonna be like, yeah, daddy, oh, blah 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 blah, bye.
Right.
It's never like that, right? But it would just be dope to see some of the other conversations, because I really believe in us. I believe in hip hop, period. But of course, I have a little small bias to us, because that's my crew. That's the guys I grew up with. That's the guys I toured with, right? And I just know, like I tell people all the time, like, yo, do you realize that one of the dopest shows ever is Ice-T show? Like when we was on tour with Ice-T, yo, we was good. Public Enemy was good. Houdini was good. But some nights, Ice-T was greater than all of us. His intro alone, he had his backdrop was the jail yard.
Yeah.
He had Dono and all of them, lifting weights in the back and all of that. And then he come out doing colors and the money started coming from the sky. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But those, so I have like I said, I got a little bias to us.
Absolutely.
I toured with Luke.
I toured with
Luke. I toured with NWA. I never forget. I was that part, that one in the movie, that piece in the movie where they got arrested, where Easy got arrested. I was at that show. That was at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit.
Okay.
And it's the first time I saw NWA, and I wish somebody got some of those concerts on recorded. I'm gonna date myself by saying on tape, but they probably are on tape, so they gotta be digitized. But anyway, NWA used to do some stuff on stage, man. It was fly, man. It was so fly. Nobody ever seen anything like that, And so I love us. I love us. I love that period, and I love to hear from the minds of that period, especially now, because it's marinated now. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be interesting to see how they feel about it now.
And if you notice that a lot of the old school music, like certain parts that are influential, the words, they're playing those right now.
Oh yeah.
They're attaching it to some of the things that are going on now. So know that it's relevant. Strong and relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, welcome to the Terror Dome sums it up. Welcome to the Terror Dome.
It's a lot of them. It's definitely a lot of them. Case in point, when I pulled Self-Destruction, and it just made me reach out to you and say, hey, we got to talk about this. So definitely all of it is in its time, and we appreciate your time. And having a conversation with us, and we're going to make some phone calls and see if we can put together a cigar lounge where you all can have.
Oh no, I think it'll be dope. I mean, I think it'll be dope. We definitely need to talk about that, because me and Chuck got some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, we was on the phone about he hit me with this concept of going small, right? And he was saying he's telling me it's unbelievable how much money Live Nation has lost in this time. And he was explaining to me how concert stadium stuff, they just got it together because they just figured out the Jumbotron.
Yes.
Right? So the reason the stadiums wasn't really working before was you couldn't see stuff from everywhere.
Right.
Right? So if you wasn't down there on the floor, or at least in the middle seats, then things just became kind of like you looking at ants. But now through the Jumbotron, they got it set up where you could be way in the back and still see everything.
Have a good seat, right?
And that kind of went away. So he's been talking to me about going small, and the way he described it was, Chuck was part of this band, this super group called Prophets of Rage, right? Which is the band from Rage Against the Machine / Audio Slave, right? It's Tom Morello in them. It was Rage Against the Machine's band without Zach. And then Chuck rapping, Be Real from Cypress Hill, and DJ Lord. And so they called, Prophets of Rage. They went out, they did a bunch of touring. But he told me, he said, Daniel, the first gig we played was at the Whiskey in LA, and it was 100 people. I mean, 100 people total. But he said, I felt like I was playing for 100,000 because they had it all mic'd up and they had it all cameraed up. Mm-hmm. So so when you say stuff like Cigar Lounge, that's perfect, because you ain't gotta have a whole bunch of people in there. As long as you mic it up right and you camera it up right, you know, you can do it. And then you might get more things out of us just based on the the intimacy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna work on it. We'll definitely discuss
and if it's cigars, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm definitely there.
Okay, we gonna work on it. Summertime.
Yes.
We gonna figure this out.
Yep,
Absolutely.
No doubt.
We definitely appreciate you and all your time and your wisdom and your energy and your knowledge. That was why we wanted to reach out to you, especially in this time where people are just kind of still trying to figure it out. And that's the basic principles that were relevant then, and they're now still very relevant. You gotta, kind of lean to not just your own understanding, but lean to a higher source.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
and conform to a source of system, some sort of system to understanding it, but still going after what it is that you desire, and that in itself will allow for that passion to turn into a purpose, which is while you all are still 30, 40 years later, still going.
We ain't stopping. We got some of the stuff that we doing now. I'm so amazed. Like, I'm so amazed at some of these, like this new, like, and I know we're gonna cut out, but this new Stetsasonic record is just, it's otherworldly to me. Like, I'm like, really? Like, and so I've been doing these records again since 2016, and I've been trying to get the guys involved. They've just been in their own little life, doing life and doing what they do. And come on, I hear you, B, whatever, right? But then we ended up doing that European run, and I knew I was gonna be with them for like 10 days. So I'm with them for 10 days, and they see how I get down. Like, before we left for Europe, I shot a video with Smith and Wesson. Then when I got back, I had a morning joint at Hot 97 with Ebro and Rosenberg. And then that afternoon, I shot another video with R.A. Rugged Man. And it was like, damn, they really doing it. Like, they really saw, plus I could be around them and play music. And so one of the tracks that I had for it, for Stet, my man had played it for me. I said, I'm never going to listen to it again. Because if I listen to it again, I'm going to use it for myself. Because that's how dope this track is, right? So I held it until I got with the guys, and I played it. They loved it. And like, not too long after I got back from the trip, everybody laid their lyrics, and it's really, really good. Like, it's really good. And I'm like, this is dope, because as a fan, I miss my guys. You know what I'm saying? Because for Stetsasonic, for me, I'm in the band, but I'm a fan of every one of those dudes. Like, I'm a fan of
someone else the other day. Be careful what you pray for.
Yeah, it's true.
Because now look where you are, a sign of the times.
I was just like, yo, I missed the Lights voice. Totally missed D's voice. I just miss it. And then to hear it, I'm like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? But the Light got a rhyme. He got a line on one of these, on this first record, and he goes, on the bus with the band, big dreams. The way he's saying, I'm like, yo. You know what I'm saying? Wise got a line on that joint where he go, loyalty rare, but we full of that. I'm like, yo. I miss that, man. I miss that so much.
Short sentences, but big statements.
Oh, yeah. So I miss that.
That's awesome. And I think it's the same thing. And it's great to hear you saying that you were the prodigy of that, the product of that. You put out that energy, and we're looking for that energy in order for us to keep going. And I'm so happy that you talked about music and adding it to where we are today, being able to, allow us to move. It definitely has been my source. I very rarely turn on this television behind.
I'm the same.
Rarely.
My
music is always on.
I'm the same. Like, I'm waiting. I got one little tech thing to do today. I think I might do it tomorrow because Run the Jewels dropped their joint last night.
Okay.
So I gotta listen to this Killer Mike album now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, well you knew that was coming.
Yeah. So you know what I mean?
Knew
So
that was
like,
coming.
I can't, when I used to go on tour all the time, but I did some work with other people too. So I used to be on tour with like other folks. And when I was on tour, I never forget I was on tour with Cat, and they used to never see my TV on in my hotel room. Like literally would come in my hotel room and grab the remote to cut on the TV, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And they're like, "Turning on the TV." And I'm like, "You turning on the TV for what?" You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do you know what I'm saying? If it's something that I think or some news, I think now you don't even need the TV for the news. You can use your phone. I don't have any. When I'm on the road, I have no use for it. Unless I'm casting something to the screen, like a video that we just finished, and I need to look at it. You know what I'm saying? But we need that. We really need that, especially, and no disrespect to nobody else, but especially us in our community, only because that's part of the tradition, right? So it's almost like taking ackee and saltfish out of a Jamaican's diet. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not like a Jamaican person won't eat bacon and eggs. But that ain't their thing, yo.
That's right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't do that to a people. Like traditionally, these people were raised on music. I'm proud to be a part of that. In the beginning, it was just me in the mix like everybody else, listening to Aretha and Michael and Smokey. But then I became a rapper, and I'm kind of part of that fabric now. And so I know what it means. I'm telling you, all the time this happens to me. I'm somewhere, another city. Somebody walks up to me. I'm 5'4" anyway, so he walks up to me. He's 6'2", 6'3", shakes my hand. Young person. I don't know who he is. He says, "Man, I'm a lawyer because of you." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Because you came and you spoke at Howard, or you came and you spoke so and so place, and you said everybody ain't got to rap behind the camera. Some of y'all could be lawyers. Some of y'all could be executives.
You need them.
I went and took the bar. Like not just went and took the bar, but I went. You know what I mean? Like, that means something to me. And I realized that he got that. No disrespect to anybody else in his life, but he got that from a musician.
Yes.
He came to see me because he liked my music. You know what I mean? And from my music, he got to know me, learned a lesson from me, and it became a life lesson. And so I realized that musicians mean a lot to people.
Absolutely. And you all have a level of experience. You have been in these trying times before, not only in just growing up, but just in history, and like you said, from generations ongoing. So you have that information, and however you tend to express it is what the art of it is. But if you're paying attention, you can get the education, and that's the part that we appreciate. That's the part that I know I appreciate in the art.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that also is the blessing of music, is that even when the media is distorting things and they're putting out things that are not true, you have an opportunity and a platform to really tell the truth.
Yes. And the other thing that I learned, which is we almost cheat this way, but who's gonna stop us? Our thing gets heard over and over.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they might, on a news cycle, you might only hear somebody say something once. But once you put it on the record, it's out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. Well, again, thank you. We don't want to take up too much of your time. And we may have to do a part 2, but we're going to also work on that. We're going to also work on the other and get with you on that for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna send you one more thing that now I know I could trust you with unreleased stuff. I'm gonna send you something else. In a few minutes, I'm gonna send you something.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk again.
Okay.
Peace. Okay. All right. Bye.